Assalamu alaikum, and I greet you with the greetings of peace. Welcome back to another episode of the Khadija Way. My name is Rahma Hersi, and I am delighted to be here with you once again. Our questions and answers session continues, and we are going to be discussing the very pertinent question that has been asked quite a lot in your Q&As, in your comments and your questions that have been sent across to us, and that is, can we invest in the stock market? That answer and other discussions coming shortly. So can we invest in the stock market? I want to remind us again to remember the principles that we discussed in the initial episodes that we had on the Khadija Way. Always remembering that as our core allows us to base our thinking, our decisions on a foundation of principles. So, discussing the stock market in of itself is not problematic. What is problematic, according to ethical finance and Islamic finance, is what companies that are listed on the stock market are we investing in? So the blue chip companies in our country, for example, will be primarily those in the banking sector. So there's interest, issues of interest there, or the alcohol beverage industry, sometimes gambling. These might be the most profitable businesses and are currently listed on the stock exchange, whether here or globally. So from that angle, it means then it will be problematic to invest in the stock market if the companies and the stocks that are in the companies that you'd want to invest in are not compliant, because the core business that is offered goes contrary to the principles of Islamic finance. So, if we have a gambling or a casino-based company listed on the stock market, can we invest? The answer would be no. Why? Because the core business of that company is unethical according to Islamic finance and ethical finance. What if we have a company that offers different products and services but has an element of prohibited activities? So for example, let's look at the airline industry. Airlines serve alcohol, for example, right? Kenya Airways in our country, as an example. They serve alcohol. They might even serve pork, which are considered prohibited within the spectrum of activities within Islamic finance. But is that their core business? No. Their core business is travel and the service of travel and the tourism or whatever it is that we're thinking about. So, having said that, our scholars, understanding that we live and have to bring the Islamic principles for the betterment of the community and to be a pragmatic within the greater scope of Islamic law, said, as long as the prohibited aspect of the activity is less than 5% of your core business. So for example, let's take again the example of the airline sector. Your overall profit comes from the travel. The alcohol beverage that you're selling and the pork or whatever that is prohibited, if it is less than 0.5% of your net profit, then it shall be ignored within Islamic finance and ethical finance. If it is more than that 0.5%, then it renders that entire business unacceptable and not compliant within the Islamic finance principles. So that's the test. And this opinion or legal opinion is called the Dow Jones Fatwa, which is famous and was done and put together and researched by some of our greatest minds within the Islamic finance industry and has been a great contribution in the growth of the industry. So the point we should always remember is to look at what is the nature of the activity. And if this activity is blatantly a prohibited activity, you cannot even ask yourself, perhaps, maybe, coulda, shoulda, none of that, then you stay away from. But if it is 0.5, and the only way you would know this is obviously by engaging with the stock market and the analysts and trying to understand what the business is. So some homework would be required there. Then you can make that decision. But the rule of thumb is, if it is overall, the core business is prohibited, then you do not invest in that. Which makes it a little bit of a challenge looking at the market we come from, because the alternatives are still not in existence, and if they are, they're still being developed. But once again, we don't focus on the challenge, we also focus on the opportunity. Why are we not setting up businesses that are at that level, competing at that level, so that they're offering an alternative solution to where you can invest your money? And also looking at the other companies that don't necessarily engage in the prohibited activities and you know, maybe cement, I don't know, construction. And these are just some ideas, but the core business is not prohibited. I have enjoyed sharing this with you, and I do understand it is a very pertinent question. And as shared in our earlier episodes, there will be a surprise at the end of all the episodes that we are doing, which will allow us to participate and engage at a broader level so that we can learn what are some of those opportunities out there. And as always, I would like you to share, like, and subscribe to the Khadija Way so that we can continue engaging, learning, and connecting so that we are growing on this path of ethical finance and pioneering into this industry collectively.